Anyhow, finally, the hype has reached fever pitch around the Africa Cup of Nations Championship that kicks off on Saturday. We have a few weeks of football lying ahead of us as Africa's top teams fight it out to be the champions of the continent. The games, the players, the crowds and countries will be under the world spotlight, showing that it has and will always be more than just football. Now, football in Africa has a rich history and is fast developing a bright future that should not be overlooked. Terry Bean, who has penned the book Connect with the Continent, Understanding Trends Across the African Continent, joins us today. And Terry will be joining us weekly and monthly for the rest of the year. We're going to talk today about the growth of football in Africa, seeing that the African Nations Cup started. Terry, good morning.
Good morning.
We're a bit energetic here this morning with Paul and the like. So wanted to ask you about, you attended the GLO CAF Awards. Tell us about what happened at the CAF Awards and what this kind of event really means in the context of African football.
Well, the CAF Awards is an annual event that recognises the best of the best in African football. It is possibly the most broadly televised event of the year across the continent. It reaches out to approximately 200 million people across different countries. It's broadcast on both French and in English. We had Robert Marawa from South Africa and Jocelyn Duma from Ghana hosting the show this year. And it's a big show. I mean, it's possibly the biggest show of the year, and it starts off the year with a big bang. And this particular one, it moves around the continent, but this particular one happened in Lagos. And apart from the football, where they had Yaya Toure being awarded for the fourth time Player of the Year, I mean, the biggest acts of the continent came through. We had Uhuru from South Africa. We had Diamond Platinum from East Africa. We had guys like Flavor and Omawumi from West Africa. So it really is a ginormous show. And what's really interesting about it, it represents the growth and the passion of football on the continent.
And where is football going? We see these glitzy, glamorous events. We see the convergence between football, fashion and music. Is that the future of football on the continent? Do we see that even getting bigger and bigger?
Well, football on the continent is growing quite beautifully. If you look at the number of players that are on, African players playing in Europe, UEFA reckons it's about 673 at the moment. Nigeria has 111 players playing in Europe. Ghana about 70, and then countries like Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire and Cameroon have about 200 between them. So African players are a force in Europe, but they're becoming a force, and the business of football is becoming a sort of tour de force in the continent as well.
What about human trafficking within football? There's always that element when we talk about African football. We see new regulations at under 18 level from FIFA. Is that aimed at putting a stop to that kind of human trafficking that we've seen developing in a way in African football?
I think FIFA would probably not engage it in exactly the same way as you even, but really what it's designed to do is to stop young kids, I mean literally young kids, being taken out of their homes and out of their countries and transported off to Europe. The good side of that is that they get amazing coaching, nutrition and development, but the bad side is the best of our young players are leaving the continent very, very early. So what these new regulations are going to force, they're going to force a situation where young players have to remain on the continent until their 18th birthday. So what that's going to do is going to create a lot of opportunity, and a lot of facilities are going to come up where camps and training facilities are going to be put in place in different countries to groom players, which means that the local quality and talent is not going to sort of emigrate as early as it has been.
Now, the AFCON tournament starts this weekend. It's Equatorial Guinea. What do we know about this country other than Mark Thatcher went there once?
Yeah, he didn't have a very good time when he got there. I think it's going to be very interesting for people when they land. When they land in Equatorial Guinea, they may think they're in South America. It's the only country in the continent that has Spanish as its national language. It is an incredibly small country. I mean, its population will probably fit quite comfortably into the greater Soweto area. And its current president, President Obiang, has been in power since 1979. So it's a bit of an anomaly for most people. Most people didn't know about Equatorial Guinea before the tournament was announced. It's kind of squeezed in very comfortably between Cameroon and Gabon. It's a very, very small country. Oil rich, but very small. I think it's going to be a very interesting tournament and a bit of a culture shock for a lot of players as they arrive into this quite small metropolis.
Finally, you've come back from CAF, and I'm sure a lot of people are talking about Bafana there under Sheikh Mashaba. They're now 10 unbeaten. They're going to this tournament with with high hopes, if one could put it that way. How is Africa viewing Bafana Bafana at the moment?
I think they're pleased. I mean, I think Africa's always kind of wondered why Bafana Bafana hasn't really been performing for the last 15 or 20 years. So when the team has an unbroken run with a South African coach, I think they're quite gratified to see a powerhouse like South Africa performing on the international stage from a football point of view. So I think they'll be very happy to see them there, and they'll want them to do well. My money's going to be on Côte d'Ivoire. I think this is going to be Yaya Touré's last shot at...
That team's not a little bit old?
It's old, but with experience.
With experience. Thank you very much, Terry. That's where we wrap it. Terry, thank you for joining us. Of course, Terry Bien will be joining us monthly and weekly with podcasts, broadcasts, and live in-studio appearances. Connecting the Continent is a book that Terry wrote, and we're going to delve with Terry as he travels throughout the continent. So updates what's happening in various areas around the continent. Bird's eye view is what we're going to give you with Terry. Thanks, Terry. Newsroom is broadcast live from our studios in Auckland Park, Johannesburg. Every weekday morning between 9 and 10 a.m. The show repeats at 2 in the afternoon. A total rebroadcast is then at 5 a.m. the following morning. We're also live on YouTube at that time with our show available on demand on our YouTube channel all of the time. This is SABC News. You've been watching Newsroom. We love it in the morning.